Where are we?
This is Mark McNease in New York City, and you're listening to Age to Perfection, brought to you by LGBTSR, where age is embraced and life is celebrated. Welcome to the podcast. This is Mark. My guest this evening is Herbalist Cathy McNease. Cathy holds a Diplomate in Chinese Herbology, a BS in Biology and Psychology from Western Michigan University, and 2 Master Herbalist certificates from Emerson College of Herbology in Canada, an East-West course of Herbology in Santa Cruz. Good evening, Cathy. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Actually, I am invigorated by the spring, which has arrived here.
Yes, we were talking about that before the podcast, and it's officially spring, but it's not quite there yet here in New York. We're going to get there. I probably another 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Now, today we're going to talk about cataracts and glaucoma, and to prepare for our conversation, I went ahead and put my new eye drops in. I've been taking, it was called Timolol in my right eye because I have hypertension in my right eye. And I've been using that for probably 10 years, and the doctors would never call it glaucoma. Apparently it has not progressed that far, but it requires medication, so I've been doing that for 10 years. And then he discovered 2 weeks ago that the pressure is high with the medication, and apparently if you take this particular medication for a long period of time, it ceases to be very effective. So he's got me on new drops, and that's leading into our conversation tonight.
Well, it's a good time of year to be talking about the eyes since we're now officially in spring. And according to Chinese medicine, the eyes are associated with the liver gallbladder organ system, which are the prominent stars of springtime. So whenever we're looking at someone's eyes, that gives us a lot of information about other areas of health, in particular, how is their liver gallbladder. So 2 of the eye problems that happen often with the aging populace are glaucoma and cataracts. So those are 2 that I wanted to specifically talk about today, but I can also give some general information. But I'll start with glaucoma, since you brought that up, Mark, since that's really what sort of led me into thinking about talking about this is your issue. So there's a way of looking at glaucoma from the Chinese medical way, which associates it with the kidneys. And the reason that we see that is glaucoma is a problem of the eye's drainage system. So when the drainage system backs up, the pressure builds up. And over time, the big problem with that pressure building up and the drainage not working efficiently is that the optic nerve gets impeded. The optic nerve degenerates and atrophies over time, and it can produce blindness. So monitoring that pressure that can be in increasing numbers is an important thing to do with glaucoma. This is an eye condition that should not be left unattended. There's many different causes of glaucoma. Stress is one of them that can make glaucoma, bring it about or make it worse. Trauma, some sort of trauma, head trauma to the eye. Some medications that are hard on the liver, that clog up the liver, can be problematic and contribute to glaucoma. It may be part of an autoimmune condition. And an important one for your listeners to know about that may not be aware of this is steroids. The use of steroids can cause glaucoma. And it's a very serious kind of glaucoma that's an ER condition. And so if you are on steroids, for instance, maybe you're on prednisone for a knee pain, and you begin to notice you have a very bad headache, and if you lay back, your eye pain is unbearable. get to an ER right away. It's a steroid-caused glaucoma.
Okay.
Yeah. So with glaucoma, when we're looking at what sorts of foods and nourishment could we do to support that optic nerve, there's a Chinese formula that's pretty famous called Qi Ju Di Huang Wan. Qi Ju Di Huang Wan. And it's a liver kidney tonifying pill, and that one particularly focuses on the eyes. So that would be a great remedy. I've given you that on and off through the years, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good tonic formula. You could get it in any Chinatown or in a health food store. Two of the herbs that are in that are chrysanthemum and lycee-berry or goji berry. So those two herbs taken as a tea would also be a great remedy to keep the glaucoma at bay and not progressing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Another thing that can worsen glaucoma is allergies. So when people have allergies, now's the time here that a lot of people are suffering with itchy eyes, runny eyes, and treating those allergic symptoms is important if you have glaucoma. You don't want the allergies to worsen that inflammation and pressure that's already present in the eyes. With the allergic eyes, nettle, the stinging nettle, the herb stinging nettle, it's in capsules,
Mm-hmm.
can be helpful for the allergy, as well as chrysanthemum tea or peppermint tea. Both of those can help with the allergies.
Okay.
Did you have questions about glaucoma, since that's you in particular that it relates to? That's
No, I was
something
just
I didn't answer?
I was going to mention that about the trauma, because when I first started on these drops a long time ago, they examined everything, the nerves, and there was nothing wrong. They couldn't find anything wrong or deteriorating. And he asked me if I had ever been hit in the eye.
Uh-huh.
And I said yes. I was hit with a snowball. I had to go to the emergency room. And but I also remember getting hit in the head with a bat one time. But anyways, it's interesting. So so people know that can cause it. And that's why I think they won't move me into that glaucoma category. They just keep saying
Right.
it's hypertensive. And he said I was a glaucoma suspect this time. But I could just stay this way for the rest of my life.
Yeah, there are a couple of variables as to why that eye's drainage system malfunctions. So definitely trauma is one of them. So anything you can do to keep your kidneys functioning as best as possible, that's important. So, staying rehydrated and not going too long without fluids, and the things food-wise that support the kidneys would be foods that are dark in color. And those dark, like purple and blue foods, are rich in an antioxidant called anthocyanins that promote blood circulation to the eye, which that's important no matter what eye condition we're treating. But when we've got fluids that are stagnant there, it's all the more important that we have the blood flowing so that the fluid flows. Before I leave the purple foods, one of the eye herbs that's also used as a food is bilberry, and that would be one I would suggest for any of the eye problems we talk about today, because it's so good at nourishing the eye as well as promoting blood flow there.
Is that BIL? How do you spell that?
Yeah, it's BILBERRY. It's related to blueberry, but it doesn't grow here, I don't think, naturally. It grows in Europe. But they use it as a jam and as a juice. The story where it became popular was during World War II. The British pilots had phenomenal night vision. So they began to try and figure out why were the British eyes so keen. And they pegged it to, they had bilberry jam on their English muffins every morning.
Oh, wow.
And so when they began to analyze the bilberry, it was incredibly rich in antioxidants that promote eye health. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important herbs for all of the degenerative eye conditions, macular degeneration would be another one that's really important for.
I wanted to, at some point too, I just want to talk a little bit about hydration because you mentioned that. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Let me talk about cataracts, and their dehydration directly plays in, and then we can talk about it some more.
Okay.
Okay, so cataracts are another common problem in the aging population. By 80, half of all Americans have either had cataract surgery or they have cataracts. It usually starts in one eye, but it may end up affecting both eyes. The problem is that the lens, which is the clear part where light penetrates through to the back part of the eye, it breaks down as we age, and that lens ends up getting cloudy, so the vision appears cloudy. Aging, of course, is the most important risk factor since it's so commonly present in the aging. But there's other factors that also can be taken into consideration. There may be some systemic disease like diabetes. Diabetics have a very high incidence of cataracts, or some other autoimmune sort of problem may contribute. Lifestyle is a very important factor in contributing to cataract. So the four big problems in lifestyle risks are smoking, alcohol, caffeine, and sugar. And what all four of those have in common is what they say is they contribute to oxidative stress and dehydrate the eyes. So that means that the eyes are drier, there's less fluid, and there's less ability to protect yourself from the free radicals, the components that are broken down from toxins. When we're hydrated, we're able to flush out sufficiently. But when we're smoking, drinking, doing coffee and sugar on an ongoing large amounts basis, it really puts us at a risk with cataracts. The last factor that's a risk factor is environmental toxins and prolonged exposure to either toxicity or UV sunlight without sunglasses. So wearing sunglasses for protection is a very important factor for the eyes to prevent cataracts. And again, with cataracts, that Chinese remedy I mentioned before, Qi Ju Di Huang Wan, would be a wonderful remedy, but you need to start early if you're hoping to slow down the progression. So you'd asked about hydration. So if we wait until we're thirsty to drink, you're already in the dehydrated zone. Better to be sipping small amounts throughout the day. Okay. And there's a lot of talk about how much is the right amount. So an average amount of water for a person is to take your body weight in pounds, divide it in half, and that many ounces is ballpark how much water you need.
Oh my God!
In a day, if you have a very sedentary life, and maybe you don't need so much. Maybe you need less than that. If you have a very active life, so you're sweating and active, then you may need more than that. But that's sort of, for an average person, that's kind of ballpark. And then remember, when you're counting in how many ounces of fluids, you can't count coffee because it's dehydrating.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because I have this. I think probably like a lot of people, I think if I'm not thirsty, I don't need to, I assume that I'll drink water or liquids when I'm thirsty, and I'm not thirsty that much. I drink way too much coffee, but I'm not very often thirsty, and that's not the right way to gauge it.
It's not the right way to gauge it. And a lot of patients that I see in my practice have in their bodies what we call turbid fluids. So turbid fluids are things that are stuck like phlegm and mucus, things that you want to get rid of. You don't want to reside in your body. And the best way to move those turbid fluids out is with fresh fluids, with water, with pure fluids. But if you're not flushing, then those accumulate in the body. Those turbid fluids accumulate in the body and end up creating other issues, can create other problems.
Mm-hmm.
So better to have little sips. If you have a lot of phlegm or mucus in your body already, you probably aren't going to feel thirst. And you probably can't drink a tall glass of water easily. So better to just sip on small amounts all day long.
Okay, well, I mean, Frank, he has that going for him because he drinks a lot of water. He drinks water all day and in the night. Do you remember when Mom had cataract surgery and it blinded her? Am I misremembering that?
I didn't remember if it blinded her or after that it became the diagnosis became macular degeneration.
That might be the case. I do know that she had some cataracts removed and ended up blind in one eye. But I don't remember exactly what happened. But I know the last.
Okay, well, I don't know if the removal of the cataract was involved in the macular degeneration diagnosis, but the reason she was blind in one eye was because of the macular degeneration, which is a degenerative condition that progresses to the point of blindness,
Mm-hmm.
Where there's significant blood stagnation in the eye. So whenever we have a surgery, it always creates blood stagnation. So if there was already a blood stagnation problem, I could see it being related, but I never knew that, Mark.
Yeah, I just knew that she ended up, she couldn't see, and she like taped up the one side of her glasses.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was her macular degeneration. Before we leave it, I don't want to forget to mention that acupuncture is very effective for eye diseases. And I recently did a seminar with an excellent acupuncturist who is on the East Coast in New Jersey. His name is Andy Rosenfarb, and he specializes in eye treatments, mm-hmm. and what they call microcirculation, where they're doing a lot of treatment right in the vicinity of the eyes. But acupuncture is a very good therapy to help slow down these degenerative eye conditions.
Well, it's been great stuff to talk about. I thought I had another question on that, and then it left my mind. Thoughts have a habit of doing that.
Well, before leaving the eyes, maybe just one more thing about eyes in general is there's a line of eye drops that are very useful from Europe. The brand is called Similacin, and they have them even in Rite Aid. And they're a homeopathically prepared drop that are very soothing for various different eye problems, tired eyes, conjunctivitis, etc. So those might be of help as well.
One of the things that the symptoms of aging, one of the things about getting older that I least appreciate is my vision, and it just now I can't really read much of anything without my glasses, but I can never seem to get, like, I have this fantasy that there's a perfect prescription. I wear these progressive lenses, which sometimes I think are part of the problem. I'm not convinced that progressive lenses are good because your eye's constantly having to adjust with these lenses on. But I got a new prescription, and I got that filled, and then those glasses didn't work, and I'm just wearing the same glasses I had in the first place after I've spent hundreds of dollars on new glasses. And I just have given up. I mean, I've given up that I'm ever going to get some magical pair of glasses that don't bother me. I don't know. It's not really. It's not so much off the subject. It's probably a pretty common complaint, and it seems like the older I get, I don't know, the more dependent I am on corrective lenses. Do you wear glasses?
I do. I started when I was 16. I got contact lenses, and they made my eyes so red I looked stoned all the time. I wore them for a couple of years, but that was before soft lenses, and so I was told I was not a good candidate to continue to try the hard lenses. So I didn't want to wear glasses, and I discovered this Tibetan eye chart. There was just a mandala with many different figures that you followed the edge of the mandala all the way around, and what it did was exercised your eyes up, down, sideways, all the sideways. Anyway, so after I did that, my eyes corrected to the point I didn't need glasses until I was 48. And when I was 48, I was having to squint to read, and I became vain about the wrinkles that it was making around my eyes with all the squinting, so that's when I got glasses. So yes, I wear them to read. I don't need them for distance, but I need them to read.
Well, this last week, and then I'll stop. The last time I went to the doctor, when he gave me these new drops, it was a different doctor, older gentleman, very nice, and he said, "You don't need lenses for distance. You just need them to read." He said you could get because they're progressive. He said the top part could just be clear. All I really need is reading glasses. But for 20 years now, I've been wearing slightly corrective distance lenses, and I thought, boy, you got to really trust yourself, trust your eyes. If something doesn't feel right, if you get a pair of glasses, and they're not quite right, don't keep wearing them, thinking that you're gonna get used to them, because I think it can screw your eyes up worse.
And I've seen people have headaches as a result of their new eyeglass prescription not being quite matched. So, yeah.
Well, it's been really good to talk about something that, everything we talk about is relevant to my own body. But this one, of course, is an ongoing thing for me, and I got my new drops, and we'll see what the pressure is, by the way. And they're also more expensive. They're a tier 2, whatever that means. I don't know. I guess it means there's no generic version of them, so they're more expensive, and they can be expensive, as with most drugs. So, anyways, although that's the only medication I take, and at 56, I gotta say that makes me feel good, because I really do not want to be an old person taking a bunch of medications. I want to avoid that. So you help me.
I had a new patient yesterday who is 70, and she had in a bag with her 11 medications.
Wow.
Yes.
So, Cathy, it's been another good chat. I do want to let people know about your book, because I think it's a fabulous book. And it's recent. It's called In Harmony with the Seasons, Herbs, Nutrition, and Well-Being by Cathy McNease. A lot of them are columns that you have been kind enough to let me put on lgbtsr.org. But I really can't stress enough what a great book that is, and how it's very readable. It's very good for a layperson. You have an appendix in there in the back for practitioners, but all of your columns are very everyday sort of reading. You don't need to figure a lot of stuff out to read them and get advice from them that are great. And it's In Harmony with the Seasons, Herbs, Nutrition, and Well-Being by Cathy McNease.
Thanks, Mark.
Yes, Cathy, and we will be back again with another fabulous topic in a few weeks.
Great.
Okay, bye.
Bye.